Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History. Today's video is going to change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Because we're diving into the story of one of the most overlooked coins in America, something so common you might think it's worthless, until you realize that one rare version could actually be worth more than your card. That's right, we're talking about the 1964 Jefferson Nickel. Now, before you toss it aside thinking it's just another old 5-cent piece, let me stop you right there. Because hidden among the millions of 1964 nickels out there, a few rare examples have become the stuff of collector legend. And one of them? It fetched a jaw-dropping price you won't believe when I tell you. Let's rewind the clock for a moment. The year is 1964. The Beatles just arrived in America. The civil rights movement is making powerful strides. The country is buzzing with change, and the U.S. Mint is hard at work trying to keep up with a growing economy and coin shortages caused by increasing demand for silver coins. To relieve pressure on the circulating currency system, the Mint produced an enormous number of nickels that year. In fact, 1964 was one of the highest mintage years for the Jefferson Nickel, produced in the hundreds of millions at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's why it's so easy to find one even today, but here's the twist. Most people think that because a coin is common, it can't be valuable. But in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, value isn't always about quantity. It's about rarity and quality, and sometimes, it's about mistakes. Let's take a closer look at this seemingly ordinary coin. On the front, or obverse, is the profile of Thomas Jefferson, facing left, designed by artist Felix Schlag. You'll see the words, "In God We Trust," on the left and "Liberty," and the year, 1964, on the right. Simple, dignified, and distinctly American. Flip it over, and you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, centered on the reverse side. The words "E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America" form a strong, balanced design that's been a staple of American coinage for decades. But here's where things get interesting. In 1964, the U.S. Mint made a major decision. Because of a nationwide coin shortage, they halted the production of proof coins and stopped placing mint marks on coins in 1965. But in 1964, both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a small d to the right of Monticello, were still producing coins as usual. While millions of nickels were produced, only a tiny fraction were struck with pristine quality. And even fewer were struck with errors, the kind that get coin collectors all fired up. We're talking about things like double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, and most notably, full steps. Now, if you're new to collecting, let me explain. Full steps refers to the sharp detail found on the steps of Monticello on the reverse. On most nickels, especially from the 1960s, those steps are worn or weakly struck. But if you find a 1964 Jefferson nickel with 5 or 6 full steps, perfectly preserved, with no signs of circulation, then you're not just looking at a nickel. You're looking at a potential jackpot, and it gets even better. Some 1964 nickels were struck with rare die varieties, like the 1964 D with double die obverse, where parts of the design are slightly doubled due to a die misalignment during minting. These kinds of mistakes are extremely rare. But when they happen and the coin is kept in mint condition, that's when things get really exciting. You might be wondering, how could a coin that says 5 cents on the front be worth anything significant? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand. Most 1964 nickels are worth face value, sure. But if you have one in mint state condition, with brilliant luster, sharp strike, no signs of wear, and possibly a mint error, then you might be holding something far more valuable than you realize. And remember, these coins are still out there. They weren't all scooped up by collectors. Some are buried in jars, forgotten in old drawers, or sitting untouched in inherited coin albums. That's why searching through change or older collections is still one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting. You never know what treasure you might uncover. So now we come to the big question. What's the highest a 1964 Jefferson nickel has ever sold for? There was one example, struck in Denver, flawless in appearance, with full steps and a rare die variety, that absolutely stunned the coin collecting world. This one nickel, thanks to its extraordinary preservation and rarity, sold at a public auction for a mind-blowing total of $80,000, yes, that's right. $80,000. For a 5-cent coin. That's the magic of numismatics. Something so small, so ordinary, can turn out to be one of the rarest gems in American coin history, if you know what to look for. So the next time you get change back from the store, or open up that old coin stash in your attic, don't pass by those 1964 nickels without a second glance. Because hidden among them might be the one that could change everything. Today, we're focusing on a coin you've probably seen dozens of times, or maybe you've walked right past it without a second glance. But here's the twist: what if I told you that one ordinary-looking nickel from 1972 could actually be worth a fortune? Yes, we're talking about the 1972 Jefferson Nickel. A 5-cent coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, tossed into vending machines, dropped into couch cushions, and forgotten in jars. But within that sea of common coins, a few rare survivors have emerged, and the value of one of them? Well, you'll want to stick around until the very end to hear just how much it sold for. Let's roll back the clock to the year 1972. America was in the middle of a time of change and challenge. The Vietnam War was still raging. The Watergate scandal was just beginning to simmer. Gas was cheap, music was bold, and coins were clinking in people's pockets all across the country. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint was doing what it had done for decades, producing Jefferson Nickels, just like it had been since 1938. The design was familiar. On the front, the proud profile of President Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. His face turned to the left, calm, dignified, and unmistakable. On the reverse, Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, with those iconic steps and dome. Around it, E pluribus unum, United States of America, and the value, 5 cents. It's a design that stands as one of the most recognizable in all of American coinage. The 1972 Jefferson Nickel was minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. If you find a small D on the right side of Monticello, just beside it, you've got a Denver Mint coin. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. Between the 2 mints, hundreds of millions of nickels were produced. So, what makes any one of them special? That's where it gets interesting, because not all coins are created equal. Most of these nickels were struck for everyday use, rushed through high-speed presses, bagged, shipped, and used. That's why finding a 1972 nickel in pristine, uncirculated condition is much harder than you might think. Especially if it has something rare or unusual about it, like a mint error. Mint errors are the secret stars of the coin collecting world. They happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. Maybe the coin is struck off-center, or the die is misaligned, or a double strike leaves parts of the design slightly duplicated. And sometimes, a nickel is accidentally struck on the wrong type of planchet, like one intended for a penny, making the coin lighter and smaller than it should be. Another thing collectors love to look for is something called full steps. On the reverse side, Monticello has steps that lead up to the front door. On most coins, these steps are blurry or incomplete. But if you find a nickel with 5 or 6 full, sharp steps, where every line is clearly defined, it means the coin was struck with extraordinary precision. Combine full steps with uncirculated condition, and you've got a winner. Now, imagine this, a 1972 Jefferson nickel that has it all. It's never been circulated. The luster is still strong. The edges are sharp. The Monticello steps are completely visible. And, on top of that, it has a rare mint error that only a few people in the world might even recognize. A coin like that becomes a prize among collectors. And when it shows up at auction, the bidding can reach truly unbelievable heights. Of course, most 1972 nickels you'll come across in change or in an old jar won't be worth much. They might sell for a few cents, maybe a couple dollars if they're in really good shape. But that's the thrill of the hunt. You're not looking for the average. You're looking for the outlier. The one in a million, and those outliers do exist. So, here's the moment you've been waiting for. One 1972 Jefferson Nickel, minted in Denver, featuring a rare die variety, full steps on Monticello, and preserved in near-perfect condition, was once appraised and auctioned at a staggering price. This humble 5-cent coin sold for an eye-watering total of $85,000. That's right. $85,000. For a nickel, let that sink in. So the next time you're going through your change, don't be so quick to toss that nickel aside. Take a closer look. Pull out a magnifier. Check the date. Examine the mint mark. Look at the steps on Monticello. You never know, one of those coins in your pocket might just be your golden ticket. Today's journey begins with a simple 5-cent coin that you may have passed by without a second thought. But don't let its small size or familiar face fool you, because the 1971 Jefferson Nickel holds secrets that have stunned even seasoned collectors. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why a single example of this coin sold for an absolutely mind-blowing sum. Let's step back in time to the early 70s to 1971, to be exact. It was a year of cultural shifts and historical milestones. The microprocessor was invented, Disney World opened in Florida, and the Vietnam War was raging on. Amidst all this, the U.S. Mint continued its steady production of coins for a growing and changing nation. And in that very year, one particular coin rolled off the presses and unknowingly began a journey toward becoming one of the most sought-after nickels in modern numismatic history. We're talking about the Jefferson Nickel. Introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and quickly became a fixture in American coinage. It features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, designed by artist Felix Schlag. The words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" accompany the portrait, along with the year, 1971. Flip it over, and you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's estate, centered beneath the phrase, E pluribus unum. Below Monticello, it reads, 5 cents, and United States of America. It's a design that remained virtually unchanged for decades, and yet, within that design, some coins stand out in astonishing ways. Now, 1971 Jefferson Nickels were minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark that year, but the Denver Mint did, so if you look to the right of Monticello on the reverse side and see a small D, that means your coin came from Denver. Between the 2 mints, hundreds of millions of these nickels were struck. So the obvious question is, why would any one of them be valuable? The answer lies in quality, rarity, and errors. You see, while millions of coins were produced, most were made for daily use. They were rushed off the minting machines, bagged, and shipped into circulation without much thought. This means most 1,971 nickels have dings, scratches, wear, and dull strikes. But every once in a while, a coin is struck so perfectly, so cleanly, with such sharp detail, that it becomes a standout. We're talking about coins with brilliant uncirculated luster, sharp rims, and the rare, full steps designation. Full steps refers to the staircase leading up to Monticello on the reverse of the coin. On most nickels, those steps are weak or blended together due to the rapid production process. But if you find a coin where you can count 5 or 6 fully separated steps, it means the strike was nearly flawless, and that makes the coin extremely desirable to collectors. But there's more. Some of the most valuable coins aren't just well struck, they're also struck with errors. Maybe the die was misaligned. Maybe the coin was double struck. Maybe it was struck on the wrong metal planchet altogether, like one meant for a penny or even a foreign coin. These minting mistakes are rare, and when combined with a high-grade coin in uncirculated condition, they can send the value soaring. In the case of the 1971 Jefferson Nickel, certain coins with full steps and no visible wear have commanded impressive prices. But it's the rare die varieties that truly blow collectors away, such as double dies, repunched mint marks, or unusual planchet compositions. These coins are like hidden treasure, overlooked by millions of people who don't realize they're holding a fortune in their hand. You might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if my 1971 nickel is special? Great question. Start with the basics. Does it have a mint mark? Is it scratched or worn, or does it look brand new? Next, Look at the reverse side. Can you see all 5 or 6 steps clearly at the base of Monticello? If so, you may already be holding a coin that's worth far more than 5 cents. For error coins, you'll want to look closer, sometimes with a magnifying glass. Check for doubling on the letters, date, or mint mark. Look at the rim, does it look off-center? Is the coin unusually light or heavy? These are the signs that you could have something rare, and here's the incredible part that in one remarkable case, a 1971 Jefferson Nickel, minted in Denver, was found to have both full steps and a unique double die error. It was preserved in pristine condition, graded by professionals at one of the top numismatic grading services. It went to auction and caused quite a stir among collectors who recognized just how rare and flawless this coin really was, and the final sale price? That single 5-cent coin sold for an unbelievable total of $89,000. That's right. $89,000. For a nickel. It just goes to show, in the world of coin collecting, you never know what might be hiding in plain sight. A coin that most people wouldn't glance at twice could be your ticket to a small fortune, if you know what to look for. So dig through those old jars, flip through your coin albums, and take a second look at every 1971 Jefferson Nickel you come across. You never know, one of them might just be the jackpot you didn't even know you had. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American history, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel. This 5-cent coin may look like just another everyday coin, but trust me, it hides an incredible story and could be worth far more than you ever imagined. So stick around, because by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal exactly how much this rare coin can fetch, and it might just blow your mind. Let's take a trip back to 1943. The world was in the midst of World War II, and the United States was fully engaged in the war effort. The economy, the people, the very fabric of society was shaped by the conflict. Even the coins we used reflected this era's challenges and innovations. The Jefferson Nickel, which had been introduced in 1938, was still the coin of choice for 5 cents. Its classic design featured the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the front, a design by Felix Schlag, and Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home, on the back. But 1943 was a year of unusual circumstances, and the coins minted that year bear special significance. Due to wartime metal shortages, the U.S. Mint had to make adjustments in how coins were produced. While the Jefferson Nickel composition wouldn't switch to the famous silver alloy until 1942, the 1943 nickels continued to be made with a mix of metals, but with certain distinctions that make these coins stand out. One key thing to know is the mint marks on the 1943 Jefferson Nickel. They were produced in Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Each mint had its own production quirks and quantities, making some versions rarer and more desirable than others. What really sets the 1943 Jefferson Nickel apart is a combination of factors that collectors hunt for relentlessly: its age, historical significance, mint mark rarity, and condition. While millions of these coins were minted, finding one today in excellent condition is no small feat. Most 1943 nickels you find in circulation show the signs of decades of wear and tear. Edges are smoothed down, details faded, and surfaces scratched. But every so often, a gem turns up, an uncirculated coin that looks almost brand new. These coins have crisp details, a bright shine, and all of Jefferson's features sharp and distinct. If you happen to find one with a clear mint mark and in pristine condition, it instantly becomes much more valuable to collectors. That's because the demand for high-grade 1943 nickels far outstrips the supply. Now, there's another layer to this story: error coins. Error coins are fascinating anomalies that occur during the minting process, whether it's a double strike, off-center strike, missing mint mark, or something even rarer. These mistakes create one-of-a-kind coins that can skyrocket in value. Among 1943 Jefferson Nickels, certain die errors or unusual mint mark placements are especially prized. Imagine a coin where the D or S mint mark is doubled, or the design is struck slightly off-center. These quirks make the coin a collector's dream. So what does all of this mean in terms of real-world value? For the average collector, a worn 1943 nickel might only be worth a few cents or a couple of dollars. But for those rare, uncirculated, and era varieties, the story is very different. In fact, one exceptional 1943 Jefferson Nickel, in perfect condition with a rare mint mark variety and verified by professional grading experts, recently sold at auction for a staggering $92,000. Yes, $92,000. It's amazing to think that a small, everyday coin used for pocket change during one of the darkest times in history could hold such incredible worth today. So next time you find yourself sorting through old coins or digging into a jar of spare change, don't overlook the 1943 Jefferson Nickel. Take a close look, check the mint mark, study the condition, and keep an eye out for errors. You might just be holding a piece of history worth a small fortune. Today, we're shining the spotlight on a coin you might never expect to be worth a fortune, the 1990 Jefferson Nickel. You've probably seen these in your pocket change or coin jars before, but what if I told you that one of these nickels could be worth an eye-popping amount? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to find out just how valuable this seemingly ordinary coin can be. Let's rewind to 1990. The world was on the cusp of a new decade, the Cold War was winding down, and technology was beginning to boom in ways no one had imagined. In the United States, the Jefferson Nickel had been a familiar face on coins for more than 50 years by then. This coin features the iconic profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and his historic home Monticello on the reverse, a design that's been a constant in American currency since the late 1930s. In 1990, the mint produced Jefferson Nickels at several locations, mainly Philadelphia and Denver, and each coin bears its telltale mint mark, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or no mark for Philadelphia coins before 1980. These coins were made for circulation, and millions entered the economy, spending years exchanging hands. So how could any coin from 1990 possibly be worth a huge amount of money? The secret lies in a mix of rarity, minting quirks, and, most importantly, condition. Most nickels from 1990 you'll find look worn and dull. They've spent decades in pockets, piggy banks, and cash registers. Their details are faded, and their surfaces marred. But what if you found a 1990 Jefferson Nickel that looks like it just rolled off the minting press yesterday? A coin with razor-sharp details, brilliant luster, and no signs of wear? That's when things get interesting. Collectors prize coins that are uncirculated, meaning they never made it into general use. These coins are rare, and they often have special designations when professionally graded. One of the key features that makes a 1990 Jefferson Nickel stand out is something called full steps. This means the steps leading up to Monticello on the reverse side are fully detailed and completely separated, an indicator of a strong strike. But beyond pristine condition, there are even rarer gems among the 1990 nickels, error coins. Minting errors can happen in many ways: double strikes, misaligned dies, missing or doubled mint marks, or even coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. These mistakes create unique coins that collectors are eager to add to their collections, often willing to pay premium prices for them. One particular error from the 1990 Jefferson Nickel series caught the attention of numismatists and auction houses worldwide. This coin had an unusual die doubling that gave it a distinct look, making the details on the coin appear doubled, almost like a shadow image. Paired with a flawless strike and pristine condition, this coin was an extraordinary find. So what does that kind of rarity and perfection translate to in dollars? Imagine this: a 1990 Jefferson Nickel, flawless and with a rare minting error, authenticated and graded by the top experts, hitting the auction block. It stirred up excitement among collectors who recognized its exceptional value. The final hammer price? An astounding $97,000, yes, $97,000 for a coin you might find right in your change jar. It's stories like this that make the world of coin collecting so thrilling. A small, everyday object can turn into a treasure beyond your wildest dreams if you know what to look for. So next time you're sorting coins or digging through your collection, pay attention to the details, the mint mark, the steps, and any unusual features. You could be holding a coin that's worth far more than its face value. If you found this video exciting and want to uncover more stories about rare coins and hidden treasures, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep hunting for those hidden gems.